Okay, welcome out to Trading Justice, episode number 269. And this is Coach T, Tim Justice, your host, and here with one of my students, one of my colleagues, one of my friends, Emily Mururi. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, I'm at home, you're on the road, and, I was excited to be able to jump on here and podcast. You're actually up in Toronto this week, is that right?
I am. I'm up in Toronto this week with one of our mentors out here, Greg Holmesy, this weekend. So it's going to be a fun event. We're looking forward to meeting new students, and we'll rock and roll this.
I love it. Couple of the finest people on the planet, Holmesy and Emily up in Toronto, teaching new students how to trade the options market. I can't imagine a better weekend right there. So awesome. Sounds exciting. Let me know how it goes. I'd be excited to meet some of our new students as well. Let's start with the S&P 500. Here is the ES contract. Now, every day that I go into the markets, I always go through the same step by step. And I'm a believer in checklist. Emily, do you have a daily routine?
I do. I have a great daily routine. First things first is always checking that morning market report from Coach Hector. Get all my my daily stuff that I need to find out what's happening with the markets in the morning. Then I log into my toss and manage my trades that I currently have on, and then find new trades to get on and go about my day. And that's pretty much my daily routine. And then
Yeah.
get into every once in a while.
And I'm a big believer in process, working through things one step at a time, looking at the overall market first, even if I'm trading individual stocks, it kind of gets me my bearings set, right? Gets my feet underneath me so that I'm ready to get in there and trade the market with more clarity and confidence on what is happening. The S&P right now is in a bullish uptrend. There's no question. This is a 3-year weekly chart where we had higher pivot lows and higher pivot highs all through 2016, 17, and now in here to 18. The market has recently broke up, and I would not call it aggressively bullish. Volatility in February and April, but one key level that I'm identifying is 2650, which is last week's candlestick low. As we're now moving into the middle of this week, that would be a key level to pay attention to. And then another one down here in the 2575, 2600 range, which were the bodies of the candlesticks from the volatility moments as we go. Daily chart on the S&P, if we look at a 1-year daily, you see a break of that range. You see that the market is broke above this high here, right? And now we're starting to move higher. Emily, what's your read on the market right now?
Well, I was a neutral for a while, and I'm starting to get into a little bit more bullish positions now, but still very, delta neutral at this point. Maybe I'm just like a 0 to a +1 as far as my posture, but I might start getting into some more bullish trades if this market continues to run up. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I was talking about this with anybody who would listen to me in the last few days. The market, you have to respect whatever the direction is. In fact, the title of our show last night, our mastermind group that we do weekly, the Tuesday coaches show at Tackle Trading, was how to trade even if you don't trust the breakout, right? The market is showing strength. It's not like anybody's like beating the drums over this one, but it's going up, and you have to respect that. The S&P is going up. That's the first one. Then you've got the volatility index. Volatility futures are on the fade here. Now, there's many, many different ways to look at it. You can look at the volatility futures, currently priced at 1462, or you can look at the VIX, which is the volatility index, which is now priced at 1342. Both are painting the same picture. As the market goes up, option prices come down. This is really a strategy selector for me, Emily. Are you a net buyer or a net seller of options in the way that you trade?
I am a seller of options.
That's right. And that's because your mentor was who?
You're going to make me say this on air on the podcast. You.
Hey, listen, I'm proud of you. I think it's amazing. Building skill sets, building sell side strategies. I mean, that's not generally where our greed goes. But even as the market's fading, selling has been good the last few months. If you timed it right, positioned it right, you're managing it. Now, the volatility can be rough on those upside breakouts and the downside sell-offs, but option prices are now stuck at about 13 and a half. Fear is dropping. I mean, this is telling for the overall market right now, guys, in my opinion, because fear is showing us that, market makers, institutions, they're not as nervous as they were, say, in February or in March or in April. And now we're down here at 13.42. Pretty interesting to watch. The big one that's been in the news quite a bit has been crude oil. The commodity market is fascinating to me. This is the biggest commodity in the world, in terms of trading, in terms of use, in terms of economy. And it's been breaking up and showing a lot of volatility, but also a lot of bullishness. Are you a buyer up here, Emily? Read this chart for me.
Yeah, I'm a buyer. I've had shares of USO for a long time, and I just keep adding on to my positions. But the funny thing about oil is, as it continues to go up, obviously the gas prices are going to go up, and a lot of consumers have this notion of, man, gas prices are going up. And when I teach my friends and everybody else about trading, it's like, well, go buy yourself a couple of shares of USO and save yourself a couple of dollars as the price of oil keeps going up. So it's a way to kind of
Sure.
like pay off some of your bills with trading.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And it has been, very, very bullish. I think we're at pay range up. There's no question about that. But you got to focus on the trend. You have a pivot point here, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, compression range here in April, breakout hitting the top end of a channel. But it's been gangbusters strong. Some of the stuff happening out there. I read the EIA report, which comes out every Wednesday, Emily, and they were talking about a decrease in supply, which makes sense. The problems in Venezuela getting, political there, obviously, and some of the things that are happening, a real concern, but also they're a major oil producer, and they're not going to be able to put as much out on the markets. The sanctions on Iran put some questions into how Iran would be able to put oil out onto the markets as well. Now, how much that translates, I don't know. Traders trade what they see, and they trade the news as well, and the news is driving this thing higher. Very interesting to watch crude oil, especially from a seasonal perspective. I don't know about you, Emily. Did your dad ever load you up in the car, go on family vacations in the summertime?
All the time.
Every summer, right? I mean, and that is driving season. And so we have seasonal expectations here with oil as well. Currently bullish, showing a lot of strength. Very interesting chart. Let's talk about gold, because in my opinion, if you're a gold trader, you have to be very much paying attention to what's happening here. Gold broke below. In fact, you have 1305, 1300 on this chart. A breakdown like that. Do you trade the metals, by the way?
I do a couple of the gold miner ETFs, and so I have GDX, and when all those alerts hit this week, it's alarming to see that. But you just trust the process, right, and just keep trading.
Yes, yeah. When your core position is dropping on you and you've got to roll calls down to try to mitigate the loss, it can be difficult. And especially with a covered call position when you've identified the asset as a core part of it. If they are the gold miners, the Freeport McMorans, or even any material stock that's going to be affected by something like this has probably not been an easy week to manage. There's no question. And that breakdown here, Monday on 515, when you had that large red candle, I mean, that shows you what happens when support fails. And sellers are coming in, and a lot of this right now is going to be attributed to the strength in the US dollar. I'm not an everyday Forex trader. I don't buy the euro, sell the dollar, buy the CAD. I trade Forex. I like Forex. I like it in spots, and I like it for purposes. But I'll tell you one thing I do watch every day, and that is the US dollar index, because it's a reflection of the biggest market in the world. With what's happening in the Fed lately, and Emily, they have another meeting in June, and just for our listeners, is the market expecting the Fed to raise rates or lower rates?
Raise rates.
Of course, another rate hike in June. And, as the rates go up in the economy, as the rates go up at the Fed funds rate, the bond market is also triggered, and the dollar is going up as well. It's all one big domino effect, and that's what's driven gold down. What's really curious is that as the dollar has gone up, crude oil has also gone up, and they should not be correlated in that regard. What could be very gangbusters for crude oil, and why I'm still very excited and potentially optimistic about crude, is if the dollar has any kind of correction, crude could skyrocket, because it would decouple from that. And generally, a dropping dollar is a benefit to crude. The fact that crude has been rallying in the face of a dollar rally is very, very interesting to me.
Right.
Last one and least one. Oh, poor Bitcoin. Oh, yeah. Do you still hear the same kind of chatter out there in your social circles about Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff? Are people talking about it?
No, I think the hype kind of died down when it dropped in December. So, a lot of people that were in it got out because, they got scared. And so, but those true believers are still in it and holding on to their positions, and adding on as, it goes. I'm waiting for a breakout above 10,000, and maybe I'll get back in there again. But for now, I'm off Bitcoin.
Oh my, thank goodness if the hype dies down. I don't need any more, grandmas posting on Facebook. Nothing against the grandmas out there. Hopefully there are a bunch of grandma millionaires out there with Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
But man, it was crazy at the end of last year. There's no doubt.
Uh,
What a bubble driven price market. And then it did start to come back. We've developed a range here. I think that you're right on that key level right here, 10,000. If you're a Bitcoin buyer, you need a breakout. And from a long-term perspective, that is now become a significant resistance zone. From short-term, long-term, to be able to develop a trend, it has to go above 10,000. So
yep.
watch that chart, watch that price. If you're trading the cryptos, I think that would be an important signal. Guys, we're going to come right back after this break. Market Skyline from Trading Justice. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you're watching on YouTube, find our podcast on iTunes. If you're listening on iTunes, go find the video of this part on YouTube, and vice versa, and anywhere else you want to find us. Get in the game. We'll be right back.